Welcome, low ego action heroes, to our usual Tuesday show, which is Q&A AMA. This is our opportunity to give you free coaching and mentoring for whatever your questions might be in any area where we have some specialization. Dr. Nick is probably running a little bit late. He will be joining me shortly, but until we've got him, we'll still do some of our usual introductory business. Thank you to all of our past and present and future paid Patreon members. We've also got a free level at Patreon, and I am pleased as punch to have you join either the free or the paid. I'm just happy there is no algorithm between us. So check out our Patreon, patreon.com/CXCC. It's better than being on a mailing list. And all of our links are now at an even shorter, friendlier URL, dcx.to, as in Delta CX. You can find everything there, including my new courses, which I've just launched. You're curious, aren't you? Yes, check them out. So go check out the new courses. They're going to be happening in September and October. I've got courses on product strategy, product market fit, better writing and public speaking, and planning qualitative research. So come join those. They are nicely priced. And let's see, I forgot to make a discount code for all of you, so you can just write Slack and that will give you 40% off. I forgot to make a YouTube discount code. Hey, Ana Lucia, boy, am I happy to see you. And if you have any questions today, you can ask them. There's a link at dcx.to, or you can ask them here in the chat. Just notice they will pop up on the screen with your name, so you probably don't want to say how terrible your boss is. Definitely use the link on dcx.to for that, because those come in anonymously. So let's see. Dr. Nick is sending me a message and he says he's trying to connect. Uh-oh. Let's make sure he's got the latest way to do it. And then we do have a question that came in last week, which unfortunately I wasn't able to answer since I had bad Wi-Fi. Let's see. Oh, there's Dr. Nick. I see him. Dr. Nick, are you ready to be on camera? Hold on. Okay, let's press this button. Boom. Welcome, Dr.
Hello.
Nick. Do you want to introduce yourself before we get cooking?
Oh, you guys know me. I'm the loud one on LinkedIn. That's it, really. You know me. I don't need to reintroduce myself. But if you do want to know who I am, go follow me on LinkedIn.
There you go, everybody. Now you heard it. Thanks so much for joining us. Melanie's waving at you. Like I said, we did get a question for last week's show, which we had to cancel because my Wi-Fi stunk out on vacation. But I'm back at my desk, as you can tell from the magic of the blue screen and the usual things. So, and then we're going to have a fiery, spicy discussion about something that caught on fire on LinkedIn yesterday. But first, let's go to the question that's been waiting for us for over a week. And it's also a little bit spicy, I got to say. It says, "Hi, why do you think there are people literally hating Workday, yes, the product, if they have hired research leaders such as Sam Ladner to, quote, research the future of work and baking that insight into the Workday product suite? Why is it not clearly working in your opinion?" So, Nick, did you know about this? First of all, you familiar with Workday, or did you know Sam worked there? Okay.
No, I don't know Sam. I don't know of Sam. I'm assuming Sam is a good person.
Sam is a female person from what I saw on LinkedIn.
Okay, cool. Again, not relevant, kind of thing. But Workday is a UX nightmare. That's just fact. I think you won't find anybody that says I have a good time with it, right? It's really shocking. Sam's mission, if they've just been hired, they've got a whole bunch of legacy garbage to clean up. And it's not just the garbage in the product, it's the garbage in the ways of the working that got to that garbage product. So Sam Ladner's definitely got their work cut out. It's a bit like turning an oil tank around. You know what I mean? You can't just slam the brakes on and change direction. You can, but you're going to carry on going in a direction for a little while because there's momentum. So you definitely, it'll take a little while to make the cultural change.
Let me add some context there. I'm on Sam's LinkedIn right now, and Sam is no longer at Workday. It says Sam started there in April 2019, and for 4 years or almost five, had the title principal researcher, comma, strategy, which is where it says, I'm researching the future of work and baking that insight into the Workday product suite. And then after that, it says, senior principal researcher, comma, strategy. These two things overlap. So she appears to have done two jobs at the same time, but she's claiming that these were the most difficult and most strategic research challenges. Sam has not been at Workday, according to LinkedIn, since January 2024. So whatever Sam did has already happened. Hey, I-10.
Yeah, okay. In that case, I don't think it had the effect, or they weren't able to make the changes that were necessary. I can completely understand and respect that kind of failure, because it's too hard to succeed when you've got so much against you. I mean, you and I, Deb, we live this life.
Been
So
there.
I totally, there's no, I'm not throwing any kind of shade at Sam, and it's not a case of they failed. Like, it's just failure of that nature is commonplace. Look at every single transformation program. It's more likely you're going to fail, probably like 90% failure as opposed to 10% success. Yeah. If I'm Workday, if I'm Sam Ladner's replacement or higher up, I'm probably rebuilding the UI in the very least in a parallel stream in the back end, and just redoing it with some kind of technical feasibility going alongside it. Or throw it all away and start again, but no one ever wants to hear that, and it's not really very cost justified.
Yeah, I'm going to type into LinkedIn principal researcher Workday and see if anybody's name comes up. Okay, one name, two
Do you know what?
names.
I've wanted to do what you're doing, but like the devil on my shoulder, or the angel on my shoulder, keeps making me think, no, don't do that. It's got you in trouble in the past. But like Workday or some of these really, really obviously bad or dangerous UX, I want to call out the product manager, but I'm going to
They're
get
supposed to
roasted.
be, they're supposed to be shepherding the strategy and the direction of the product. Even if you get, what I think you're saying is, it doesn't matter who has that job title. It could be Sam, it could be Larry Marine, it could be you and me. If the organization is not set up to research the right things, or accept research insights, or take action on research insights, it doesn't matter what big name we've put in the job.
You know what the sad thing is, Deb? You and I both are old enough and long enough in the tooth.
And happy birthday.
One of the very one. Oh, thank you. Thanks. One of the one. I'm constantly trawling my head for old like UX isms. You know what I'm saying? Because they've all got forgotten about and they're all relevant again. Like, you are not the user, right? I'm using it all the time now, and I wasn't using it for 15 years. You know what I'm saying? And we're using it all the time. There's a reason for me saying that, I cannot remember. There's a really oh God, I hate me. I forgot it. There's a it'll come back to me.
There's a couple of other things to think about when it comes to Workday. I remember a year or two ago hearing through the grapevine, because I don't think this was officially announced, that there was a UX leader, which I'm going to put in air quotes, kind of out of disrespect, so please excuse me. There was a UX leader who was working on a book, and the book was going to be Design Thinking for Engineers. And when I looked this person up on LinkedIn, he had a UX leadership title at Workday.
Yeah.
And I felt like that told its own story. And I don't know if that book ever came to fruition. I'm not sure anybody. Melanie was pointing out today in our Slack community who's still talking about design thinking. Milky Drop says, we interviewed a senior level UX person from Workday for a role at my current company. They were super technical, very little design work. Interesting. Yeah, I remember. So, for if any of you have ever taken any of the online courses that I have at my Teachable, which I might be taking down, go see my courses on Maven, everybody, dcx.to. I had made a course about how to attract and retain CX and UX workers, and I had an entire subchapter on Workday's job descriptions because they were so off the charts wacky that I felt like I just had to say, if your job descriptions look like this, we all know to go running. We all know to run the other way. There's a course called Design Thinking for Engineers. Oh, I don't know if it's the same person. I would have to
Yeah.
check.
The
So,
problem is there aren't the jobs there. They just aren't the jobs. So people are taking really substandard stuff because they've got a gun at their head, a rent to pay, more bills to pay. It sucks. It's a really shitty world.
yes,
Apologies.
unfortunately. So going back, just to make sure we've answered the question, there are people literally hating Workday. That's most of us here right now. They've hired good researchers, or so it seems. Why is it not clearly working? And again, just because you've hired a great researcher doesn't mean you let them do great work, doesn't mean you listen to what they recommend, doesn't mean they're making strong recommendations. I mean, those of us who know Sam, know that Sam is a prominent voice and an author, but I'm not familiar with Sam's work. So I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying I don't know. And then you combine that with what might be going on internally at an organization, which very often is please spackle the cracks, but don't really fix too much, because then we would have to explain why this is so bad and broken. But Workday to me is absolutely the worst. My current favorite is that it will error me for my LinkedIn URL if I don't include the www in the URL and if I don't end the URL with a slash.
I can beat that. Workday in the timesheet section, you have to. It is mandatory that you have to add a note to every day's time box that you
I
add. So you put in your
I've
your
seen
eight
that on other
hours,
systems. Yeah.
and it fails. I think even without an error, or it won't let you proceed really badly. And then it's like you have to just type X or something in the box in the modal that opens as a note. It's just shocking. It's so bad. I mean, when I
Yes.
had to first use it, somebody said to me, "Don't worry, I'm going to sit down and show you how to use it." I'm like, "It's timesheet software. I've used a bazillion of them. How difficult
Right.
can it be?" And they went,
Right.
"Trust.
How hard can
You
this
need to
be?
know."
No,
Yeah,
get a stiff drink ready.
yeah, exactly. I remembered what I wanted to say. My
Mm,
UXism. This UXism that has become forgotten, which is absolute gold, is you need executive buy-in to do any of this stuff.
sure.
Right. And when I say exec buy-in, I don't necessarily mean your SLT. I mean the guys above those guys. I mean the C level, the board. You need the CEO, CPO, CDO if they exist, or CIO, CMO, CFO. You need them on your side. They need to believe in the mission. They have to truly understand that in order to transform their organization into something that performs better, they have to do things a slightly different way, and they need to support you in doing it. Now, getting that executive support is not easy, and that's why I spend a lot of my time doing the stakeholder whispering thing, and presenting nicely and all of that stuff. Because what I'm trying to do is get permission or just not get in trouble for the changes I want to make.
Sorry, I'm trying to reposition my question. Ah, that's a little better. There
But
we go.
exec buy-in is it's the thing. It was always like there's no point trying to be team of one or develop UX in any organization if you don't have that executive buy-in. And a lot of the stuff that I think we're seeing are pockets of really great, which are bouncing off a ceiling of exec, which aren't supporting, which aren't helping propagate or expand across the business, or even just get acceptance. Do you see what I mean? It just becomes a rogue unit doing good work.
Okay, we've got some anonymous questions coming in, but first I want to bring up a spicy topic that really hit the fan yesterday on LinkedIn, and people have asked me my opinion of it. I wanted to get Dr. Nick's opinion of it, so we're going to have to fill Dr. Nick in on the spice. This happened on LinkedIn, and then it's expanded to our Slack community, which was also discovering it. And basically, what happened was some people showed up on LinkedIn and were promoting their service, which which seemed like a sort of boot camp. And basically, they were saying that for roughly $200 American, you're going to be put on a team, you as a UX designer, with a product manager and I think 3 software engineers. And in 4 weeks, this little team is going to build some, you know where this is going, build something and ship something so that you junior UXers who are facing the problem of not being able to get the interview or the job because you don't have experience, now you're going to be able to show 4 weeks experience, as if 4 weeks of experience solves this problem. As if you go and look at a job description and it says, we're looking for someone with 4 weeks of experience.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
not only are they not paying you to do whatever this work is, which seemed like it might be real work, but you have to pay them for the opportunity. And
Privilege.
then we found that it looked like, and I can't say for sure, but it looked like their senior UX designer who was going to be coaching and leading the juniors had roughly 1 year of experience.
Yeah, that's par for the course. You know, like the founder, the entrepreneur who set this thing up. You know, it doesn't have the skills, so they have to hire someone, and they haven't got the money to hire anyone, so they hire someone who looks good and is cheap, who hasn't got the experience. It's every single time, and they hate people like you and me because we show them up, so they run from us. You
Yes,
know, they run.
and I decided just to block them yesterday on LinkedIn when it became a bit of a battle in a under the comments of a post that was saying beware of these people. And so I think I just want to make sure that Nick and I are very clearly giving our advice here, that it doesn't matter which company or school or opportunity this is. It doesn't matter who's the founder or co-founder or whoever. We want to say very, very clearly, at least, Nick, you can speak for yourself, but I want to say very, very clearly that I recommend against these types of opportunities as they're normally presented, because I don't believe that they solve the problem. Even in an amazing dream world where $200 bought you the finest coaching from an amazing UX veteran and you got that person for 4 weeks, I don't believe that 4 weeks of a real or fake project is going to be the differentiator that gets you the interview or the job, given the market that we have now. Nick, something you want to add to this?
So I was just looking up on LinkedIn, and I won't say any names but is the company you're talking about a Berlin-based organization?
I don't know. I just started blocking people wildly, and I'm not too sure, but I don't think so. I think the people who were part of the LinkedIn conversation yesterday, I believe, were both Americans. So if the founder is Berlin or the company is Berlin, that's a different story. But I do believe that the people involved in yesterday's conversation were American. Melanie says, no, it's not, because Melanie was part of our Slack conversation about this. I10 says, there was an old post a few weeks back from someone saying they finished Avocademy career program and they couldn't find any job and got kicked out of Avocademy's Slack. Yes, that was a point someone else made yesterday, that this seemed like a possible ripoff of Avocademy. Sorry, we got lots of, when we have that many things, I'll take them off your face. Ana Lucia says, no, they're related to a certain mega company in the U.S. Well, I don't know if we know that for sure, Ana Lucia. We do know that two of the people who appear to be co-founders appear to be product managers at J.P. Morgan Chase in America. We don't know if this company or endeavor is part of J.P. Morgan Chase. It seems to be a separate company, but yeah, even if it is the Berlin company you're talking about, Nick, or it's this American company, I just want to give a blanket warning to people to keep those critical thinking hats on. I'm going to get mine. It's a little dusty. Keep those critical thinking hats on, and make sure that you are thinking critically about, is this really going to get me the interview or the job? Is a 4 week project really the make or break thing? And is it worth me giving someone $200?
But here's the thing, right? So I've been thinking this through. If you're a stone cold newbie, I completely agree with you 100%. If you're not a stone cold newbie, but you're still junior or a low end midweight, or you just want some experience, it's only $200. We're not talking $2,000, right? It's not a lot of money. It's a reasonable sum of money. It will get you some kind of actual project experience, but is it representing the real world? Like, who builds anything in 1 month, right? So, no, I totally agree with you on all of that. It's just it is reasonably low cost. The question I'm trying to weigh up in my mind is, like, if you're hiring this person, it doesn't change anything that you've got this 4 weeks on your, it's for your learning. It's for you to know inside. And I don't think in this world that's enough for people. They need the badge on the outside, right? Just being competent isn't good enough, unfortunately. You've got to be able to seem to be good enough. I don't know. I think people will do this just to get the badge, and then the badge will mean something because everybody's got it, but it doesn't mean anything. But it's just they've sold it to a lot of people.
Yeah, I think the badge is unlikely to mean something, especially since we've seen the Google Coursera badge not mean anything, and everybody jumped at that one, and that wasn't even badly priced from what I remember. But you had, I didn't check the numbers lately. The last time I checked, there were over 850,000 people registered for the Google Coursera UX course. So you have a lot of people who got that certificate or whatever, and I don't think it ended up being of value. And then there was this moment, I've got it screenshot somewhere, where a Googler put up a job for a UX designer, and it literally said, like, they're looking for someone who didn't go through their Google Coursera course.
Yeah, because the Google Coursera course doesn't represent UX.
No.
It doesn't represent the UX that people need to do. It represents Google's view of UX for whatever. But as I keep telling people, some of your favorite influencers or social media celebrities or whatever that are shouting from a platform of Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Meta, OpenAI, or Netflix, those guys, those are massive, massive brands which you're not working for, right? They have unlimited resources, or resources unlike the company that you're working for right now. They're in a very different market space. Some of them have got virtual monopolies. Like, it must be pretty fun being Spotify. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a version of UX that is a very specified version, a specialized version of UX to that organization's needs. I'm not a big believer that specialized UX is going to hold you in good stead in the wider career of not working for big tech, working for regular enterprise, large corporate, and SME. Because that's where my experience is, and I'd take on any of those big tech guys all day and all night, and I'll win. So with
Okay.
them.
All right.
You know what I'm
Next
saying?
question. We are getting in some anonymous questions, and the first one that came in today was, I'm curious what Dr. Nick's day-to-day job looks like. A day in the life of Dr. Nick. Nick, we've got a few more
Wow.
questions after this, but what can you tell us?
Okay, I'll go quick.
You don't have to go too quick.
Typically, I've always, like most of us, but I'm always on like 2 or 3 different projects. So I've always got 2 or 3 different work projects at hand. I've got the AI project that I'm working on. So I have stand-ups and meetings related to that. And that's when you see me posting on LinkedIn, I'm user testing that on a sprintly basis. I'm doing another thing I can't talk about. And I'm doing another project that I can't talk about with a team that's a kind of a discovery team. So there's 3 very varied. One is the one I can't talk about in the middle is, it's not academic, but I'm working out a model for doing something that I want to share with the world, but I'm going to share it with Adaptivist first. They employ me. They, you know what I mean? They put their faith and trust and pay in me. They deserve the benefits of the thinking. So I'm doing the next year or 2, I've got a lot of work to do. So a day in the life is basically usually a stand up. In previous lives, it's been multiple stand ups. In a really bad life, like stand ups all morning until lunchtime. You know what I'm saying? It's really horrific. And then afternoon or the rest of the day is trying to avoid meetings so that I can do my user research analysis, which is what takes up most of the time. So that's my life. If you look at my diary, it doesn't look busy because I deliberately keep it that way, because every meeting that goes in is another hour that I've lost to analysis or something that's more productive. So I shun meetings, and I always have done. I hate them. That's why I don't want to do leadership or any of that management shit, because you sit in meetings all day. Your work is meetings. As you probably saw from my video earlier, like, I like making stuff, you know, I like building products, and I like doing stuff. I like an output. I like to stay busy, and just using the brain isn't enough. You need to use your hands and brain too. So that's kind of a rough day in my life. Usually by about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm absolutely cooked and I go to bed. Which is why I was a little bit late here, because like when you get to 54 years old and you go to bed at about 3 o'clock in the morning, you need an afternoon kip.
Happy birthday to you. All right.
Sorry,
So, so it's in my
when
calendar. What can I say?
no, I thank you. But when you get above like 50, like, it's commiserations every year. Like next year is 55, and that's a really horrible, scary number. And then from 55 to 60, it's just downhill the whole way. So yeah.
I gleefully saw an age range today on a job application I filled out. It asked me my age, which I'm not even sure is legal, but the bucket
No.
that I fell into was 42 to 57. And my thought was, this is either very good news for me that they're lumping me in with 42, or this is the new official bucket of we're ageist
Old.
starting at 42.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. Don't touch anyone 42 to 50. Oh my god.
All
You know
right.
what? That number will keep coming down until AI is really mature in the analytics space and all the other stuff. And in which case, the few seniors that are left in this world become really important, and all the mids and juniors get replaced by the machines because they don't have work-life balance issues and productivity issues and quiet quitting and quiet vacationing and all the other shenanigans that are being played.
And you're getting lots of happy birthdays in the chat. I forgot to have the messages rolling over your face. The
Thank you.
next message that we got is a long story, and it actually asks if we remember a question someone asked on a Tuesday show about a year ago. And let me tell you, I remember this one. So
Oh
I'm going to
wow.
read this out loud, and emojis up. Let's see who remembers this question that came in a year ago. How do I overcome past burnout that still affects me to this day? I remember telling Debbie about a time I was removed from a volunteering project because of my own ignorance of violating an NDA and not understanding it fully. Who remembers that question from about a year ago? I do. It's a learning lesson that I'm taking with me every day. However, the PM also made up a bunch of things about me that were not true. Outside of the NDA, that I never made contributions to anything, that I don't follow the rules, I forge my own path, and it's unfortunate the team can no longer have me as a member. I'm not sure why she said those things to me. All of this happened 1 year ago. Because of what I went through, I'm always worried that I'm going to be a burden to others, afraid to ask for permission, and nervous about getting into conflict when starting a job. There are times where I feel like reaching out to the PM again, saying, I'm sorry again, and I hope she's not holding any grudges toward me. Nick, do you have some advice for this person, or do you need me to summarize what this was? Did you catch it?
I got it. I mean, it was just, I don't know. I'm seeing this as just either the PM being ultra defensive and just throwing stones to cover their own arse, or misdirect, false flag type stuff. I'll come back to this in a moment, I guess, because this isn't the central part. But the opening line of overcoming past burnout that it still affects me today is something that I was discussing with a research colleague this morning. I've definitely got a lot of burnout with regards to research analysis and transcription. A lot of burnout to the point that it's so painful. It's really hard to do now, and that's a real problem for a user researcher. A real problem. I'll come back to that. Deb, in terms of this one, what I'm picking up on is like my empathy is going berserk here, in that you've had a really bad experience with a bad PM, and now your confidence has been taking a real hit, and you're like apologetic and kind of bowing down in places where you should stand tall. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what bothers me, in that you need to take these punches but stand back up again rather than hobble around, because that punch might not have been a valid punch, right? It's just somebody lashing out and you caught one. It's not the end of the world. It's not your fault, but you shouldn't take it on board and make it become part of you, is what I'm trying to say here. Is you just, when I was at a certain central government unit in the UK, I got the shit kicked out of me for about 2 years. Really badly, terrible bullying. I can't go into any details because there's many levels I'll get screwed on. It was really unfortunate, really terrible. But we live in a really difficult world, and there are some very toxic situations. You just have to accept them. If you can't, this just unfortunately probably isn't the industry for you. You know, it's a messy industry, and there's a lot of really horrible people in it. Those are the facts. In order to survive, you've either got to have, like me, a high degree of cognitive behavior therapy, because I'm ADHD, so I have rejection sensitivity. So believe me, this stuff hits me harder than everybody. But I survived, and I'm still reasonably sane because I've talked myself off of that cliff. I haven't allowed them to get into me. I have sweated bullets. It has caused me shitloads of anxiety and depression, for sure. But it's compartmentalized and episodic rather than acute or chronic. Do you know what I'm saying? That's all I think I want to say on this. Is I feel bad for you. I feel genuinely bad for you. I feel bad for you in the same way I feel bad for my son who's being bullied at school, and I'm trying to bolster his self-confidence and get his self-esteem up. It's exactly the same. You've both taken a bad hit, but don't overanalyze it. Don't go apologizing to the person that hit you. You know, the bully. Don't let them off. Understand that they're the fucker. Sorry if we're on YouTube, apologies. But they're the bad person, not you. It's just the bad thing happened to you, and it makes you feel like you're the bad person, but you're not.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's pretty much what I was going to say. So I do want to add to it a little bit, especially since I do remember this person from last year. And I was going to say the same thing that Dr. Nick said, which is these situations are a learning opportunity. And you ask yourself, what did I do wrong here, and what's not true? Okay, so you messed up the NDA, you put up the confidential information. I assume you took it down immediately once you understood that you couldn't do that, and they threw you off the project. For the PM to say these other things about you, if they're true, then it's stuff that you have to face, and if it's not true, then you have to face that this person's lying. And you say, look, I know this isn't true. And Nick talking about how this happens to all of us. Now that my last job has ended and I'm currently looking for my next job, without naming names, I will say that at my last job, there was someone who bullied me and tried to sabotage my work. And this can happen to any of us. This still happens to all of us, any of us. I'm 52. This just happened to me. You know, this is ridiculous. And so you have to make sure that you protect yourself and that you're more resilient. I like Ana Lucia's idea to consider talking to a therapist, because it sounds like you've got some demons to exorcise here and get this out of your system, and that's the best thing. But I would not contact that PM, that person, especially if they're lying about you. Why go to someone who lied about you and say, and tell them you're sorry? You know, that this person, if this person was really saying untrue things to you or untrue things about you, this is someone to stay away from. This is not someone you owe an apology to, and they might even owe you an apology, but I wouldn't wait for it. And
You
so,
don't want to.
go ahead, Nick.
You don't want to reinforce or validate that behavior either, right? If they're doing bad stuff and you go, "I'm really sorry," they go, "Oh, I was a real bastard to her or that person, but I was right." You know, you don't want that. You don't want to perpetuate that bad stuff.
Yeah. I mean, again, this person learned something the hard way because they violated the NDA. They put up some confidential information on their portfolio. They got caught. They got thrown off the volunteer project. I'm sure they took it down off their portfolio. Tough lesson to learn. We have a video on the Delta CX channel about confidentiality in portfolios. It's a good one for people to review. So go to YouTube and search for Delta CX confidentiality and make sure you've watched it. But yeah, I just agree with Nick that this is something that you'll want to get past because it's holding you back. And it might not even be burnout, it might just be the stress of the memories of it and how it broke your confidence. And Milky Drop says, helpful to hear that others go through this too. Sometimes you think it's just you or something about you. No, we all go through this. At almost every job I find there's usually someone who's a narcissist or a malignant narcissist who doesn't like that I'm smart and capable. And they usually try to come up with some way to try to make me look bad by bullying me, by trying to sabotage my work, by trying to make me look bad in front of other people. Every job I've been at, there's been somebody. I got lucky this time around because even though nobody came to my rescue and no one did shit about it, which I do not forgive people for, I went to the bully and I said, you're probably too busy to work on this project. Can you sign someone else from your department to be my contact person? And they did. And I never had to work with that person in the end. And so I managed to get them out of my world by removing them as a stakeholder, but I got lucky that I was able to do that they were able to come off the project. So yeah, it's all of us, and it's about resilience and about being able to look in the mirror and go, okay, this is true. This was my part in this, and this is what I can do better. And this part is not true, and I'm not going to let it fuck with me. Nick, anything to add before I put up next
Yeah,
question?
yeah, definitely. You've got 4 quick points.
Sure.
Number one, that the stuff this person is talking about, that we're talking about, the politics, the BS, the whatever you call office politics, I guess you call it, right? It happens at all levels, including and especially the C-level, right? It happens with big daggers in your back at that level. There's sabotage and all kinds of real nasties. So don't think it's just shop floor or engine room kind of stuff. It happens, in the captain's lounge and everywhere else. It's all over the place. So it's life, right? So number 2, you've been caught with a right hook and it stings, right? Debbie suggested, or somebody suggested therapy. That's one approach. If you're going to go to see a counselor, a therapist, somebody to talk to, make sure it is somebody who, this is my personal opinion and just advice, right? Go to somebody for whom cognitive behavior therapy or rational emotive behavior therapy or something around those, that's their thing, not some kind of psychoanalysis or just tell me how your life story, talky talk, endless bullshit
Coping
about your
skills.
feelings. Yeah. Because with CBT, with cognitive behavior therapy, you will learn how to change your inner dialogue to something that's a lot more supportive, much more coping, much more appropriate. Not some cathartic cry festival where you go through a box of Kleenex and pay them $200 and feel better at the end of it. That might work for you, and if it does, great, good luck. But clinically speaking, CBT will actually take you really far. It's what I rely upon to keep myself sane, and it's highly recommended and highly proven, shall we say. Thirdly, that isn't burnout that this person is talking about. Burnout is what I was referencing, is when you've done something really hard and fast for a long time, you become averse to it, like working. Some people burn out from working generally. I'm just burning out from one specific kind of work, which is research analysis, specifically transcriptions and now video analyses. Finally, for the sabotage that goes on, for the punches that get thrown around, and I'm not talking about the question askers situation, I'm talking about more like Debbie's and situations that I've been in. Evidence beats sabotage, or evidence is a really good counter to the sabotage attempts. If you get your evidence out there in a quick, easy to digest, like a 2-minute show reel or a one-pager that's got little words on it and a big graph that says a cool thing, right? Or something, right? If you get that evidence out there, it undermines the saboteur's power because it gives you more power than they've got. And it's not coming from your mouth, you're just facilitating it. And that's the goodness. Because then they go, oh, wow, I can see what's happening. You know what I mean? And then it's much harder to undo what you're trying to achieve because they've got the belief, if you know what I mean. They've got the vision, they can see why it's all happening. So yeah, evidence all the way.
Groovy, and thank you. I'm going to put up we got 20 minutes left. I'm going to put up the next question. And this says, based on conversations I've had with people younger than Gen X, it seems like the prevailing sentiment about privacy is Google, Apple, Meta, and social media has sucked up all of my behavioral data and personal data already, so why should I care about privacy at this point? Is it even worth explaining to people why they should be concerned about allowing companies to harvest all their behavioral data with no consequence, or am I just yelling at clouds at this point?
Yep. I think it's easier to turn the entire design world into a user-centric design world, which is what we're trying to do right now. I think that's an easier job than trying to tell Generation Z or Alpha or anyone else to care about validity or privacy or infosec or any of the other things that we're talking about. I think they're completely foreign concepts. I don't think they've got any idea. My kids are my kids, so they're going to be more aware than others, and I don't think they care much at all. So yeah, it's a big problem. It's a gigantic problem, and there's no laws, or the laws that are in effect aren't protecting anybody, and the world is just getting worse, and these guys are just doing worse things. By the way, it's going to come out that our phones are listening to us, and I'm going to sound so tinfoil right now.
Oh, no, we had
This
that
thing
the
here-
other day. We had some conversation, and like X minutes later, I didn't add an Instagram for the thing we talked
Yes,
about.
right. So this is what's messing with me. This thing that's growing on my head over here, or over here, sorry, right? It's just a thing. It's just like an old person's spot, right? It's called seborrheic keratosis. And I went to the GP and they checked it out and they made sure it's nothing sinister. I'd like to get it removed just because it looks like I'm growing a horn, or I need another one so that I've got a pair of them. That would be cool. But the point being is, oh God, what are we talking about? Sorry.
All your information is sucked up, and they're listening to you.
No. No. But the reason why I'm telling about the spot on my head.
Oh,
Uh,
that I don't know.
Middle States. Oh God, my head.
Not in your head.
Oh my God, I wish I sorry, didn't swear. Won't swear. Apologies. Oh God, it'll come back to me. I'm sorry, watching audience around the world.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll jump in on something, and when you remember, just interrupt me.
Yeah, it'll come back.
Oh, Anna Lucy is asking, did you receive an ad about a dermatologist?
Ah, that was it. You're so right. I'm sorry. Thank you, Anna Lucia, for reminding
so
me.
good.
Keep a little brain. Thank you. The point being is seborrheic keratosis, whatever, is a really specific word that you just don't hear in regular parlance. And all of a sudden, I think both me and my wife got ads for seborrheic keratosis removal. And I'm like, holy shit. I mean, I've had a couple of other coincidences. That can't be coincidence. That cannot be coincidence.
I've written about these. We've had these. We've had these examples, and some of ours are also pretty out there. To respond more directly to the question, the note that I made on my wonderful page of notes here is I wrote down future self and possible outcomes. What I find is that this is more of a personality thing. If someone is good at thinking about possible outcomes and what could happen and what if and what might work or not work for my future self, those are probably the people thinking about this. I was the weird little kid who was thinking about these things. That was just my personality. I've always been future self, possible outcomes, what could happen. It was just a lot of the upbringing in my household that reinforced those types of thoughts and thinking. And so But every other teenager on the planet was living as if there were no tomorrow and living as if it could never happen to me and whatever. Everybody was just doing whatever they felt like because they were not thinking about future self. They were not thinking about possible outcomes. I have friends who had highly intelligent teenagers who ended up on meth because they thought I could just try meth. It's not going to go wrong for me. Fast forward, it went wrong for them. And so, so to me, can you talk to these people about why this matters? If they can't see their future self and they can't see the possible outcomes, it's usually hard to show them. They're going to bump into it when something about the usage of that data affects them. For example, I don't follow the news in America, but some people have made me aware of the news in America that some people are either already or trying to access women's phones to see if they're looking for birth control or getting abortions or something so that they can then arrest them and put them in jail for using birth control or getting abortions. So if you are a woman, then maybe you care about what is happening with the data in your phone. If you are, if there's a dictatorial or fascist leader in power and you are against that person, you're going to care if your phone is tracking what you're saying. And so ultimately, what I find is these people, if they can't do the possible outcomes future self thing, they usually don't care about these things until something is happening to them in an area that concerns them. Yeah, Amy says, don't add your period cycle to your health apps. Melanie says, this is already happening in Texas. Ana Lucia didn't know about this. Yeah, so this is literally stuff that's happening in parts of America where they want to go into people's phones and try to figure out if they're on birth control or trying to get an abortion or stuff like this. I10 says, I keep getting ads about finding my divine feminine energy. Never searched a thing in my life about it. Today I got an ad about procedure to remove my belly fat. Okay, well, good luck with that. I don't know if you need that or
This
not.
is a
I haven't
nightmare.
met you.
This is a genuine dystopian nightmare.
Yeah.
You'll also know, living in Italy, that a lot of European countries are not accepting this bullshit. Even their governments aren't. I know Italy has challenged stuff. Spain has. UK has.
Yeah.
Germany has. It doesn't float. Just because you've got in America loopholes or lax laws that allow this stuff, the rest of the civilized world does. And yeah, corporate America, it's a nightmare. It's an absolute. The big tech thing is having a very, very bad effect globally, and I hate the fact that they are hoovering billions of dollars out of everybody's economies just to be able to do more of this. It's
Yeah.
not good.
Yep. Yeah, more questions than answers in this area, unfortunately, and not a lot of things I can advise people on. I remember there's once something very private I wanted to talk to Pier Mario about, and we shut off our phones, we shut off everything. We went into my vocal booth, which some of you have seen pictures of me recording. We went into my vocal booth and we whispered in there, and we hope that nothing picked us up.
And now we've got AI to put it all together. If Amazon have been recording, or Google have been recording every Echo and Alexa device out there, and you've got all this data, huge data lakes of petabytes and exabytes of data, you can now have the AI run through it and look for patterns and stuff. It's terrifying, because I wasn't worried about privacy and infosec because of the sheer volume of it, but AI gives us the ability to now do something with it, and that's the missing piece of this puzzle, and that's what makes it all go to hell. And no one's doing anything about it, and all they're doing is ratcheting up their strategies, and they're making trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, and the world's going to hell. So something's going to happen, or needs to happen.
I can't help but agree with that, which is why I've got various depressing pieces of advice for people at this time. We do have one more
Yeah, run.
question. Yeah. We do have one more question, totally new topic. So everybody, doodle doodle clear, cancel, cancel. This question is: I know it's a pretty general question, but how should marketing and UX work together for a digital product?
That's a great question. Well, I don't think we've been asked that one before, and it's a really good one because it's instead of saying marketing are in my faces and ignoring everything that I do or blah blah blah, which that stuff happens. But this is a really positive spin on that. Like, how should we work together? What's the best way to work together? I look at it this way: marketing are inherently a top-down function, right? They are broadcast. It's what marketing folk generally do. Yes, there's market research. Yes, there are inputs, but generally speaking, marketing is generally about putting messages out, right? UX, or at least user-centric UX, is generally or inherently a kind of a bottom-up practice, right? So you've got these two forces, which is a good thing because they're complementary. So if you can feed the top-down broadcast with bottom-up insight, magic happens. Good things happen, right? So I'm working with our marketing teams. Everybody should be working with your marketing teams. Marketing teams are another source of insight, right? They're getting it from a different perspective. It's at the macro or the market level or segment level or whatever you'd want to call that. And we're looking at the user level. So sometimes or many times our research don't interoperate. You can't mix or they don't translate. Like a marketing pen portrait and a UX persona, they're separate things that look the same, but they're very different and you can't really merge them or do much with them. It's really difficult to, but they're very complementary. And the point being is I think if you're a marketing person, having a pen portrait and a persona is really great. It helps you make better decisions. It helps you understand more because you're getting the top and the bottom. You're going kind of through that line, if you know what I mean, which is a good thing. So marketing do have a tendency to have a chief marketing officer or a marketing director, whereas we don't as UX folk or product folk often don't have a chief product officer. So marketing folk are often the power pyramid. You know what I'm saying? So cozying up to them and being friendly with them rather than an adversarial relationship is going to mean an easier life for everybody, right? That's not a war you're going to win. So, and if you can't be jovial, don't poke the bear. Just keep your head down and get on with your job. But otherwise, try to make friends. Really try to make friends. Try to find all the synergies. Try to find where you can just give them insight from your research. Unsolicited, nice and easy, short, easy to consume. Like, don't chuck them a whole pile of stuff and go, yeah, read that, or look at my Confluence essay. They don't really want to see that stuff. Just give them the highlights in a really nice to digest way, and they'll really appreciate you for it. And then maybe you'll get something back in return from them. And that's how chemistry happens, how relationships grow.
That was beautiful. I want to add to that because I actually covered this in my 2019 book, Delta CX, which I don't recommend people read. It's a little long. I prefer my Customers Know You Suck book. Uh, but I enjoyed that book. But anyway, to me, marketing can definitely be allies, and it can go in both directions. Marketing, as Nick pointed out, usually has strong leadership, and that also means they have budget. It also usually means they're on the hook for a lot of stuff. I'm happy we're leaving on a positive note. I don't know. We as designers have a lot of power because of the touch with the user and reality. Yeah, Carolina. So to me, marketing are potentially great allies. I always recommend trying to work with marketing, not just to give them your research data and get their research data, but to find out what is on their plates. What is causing them problems? Are they are they having problems with conversion rates? Are they having problems with a page not being compelling and people don't move through the funnel? These are the things that marketing cares about, but they usually translate into digital and website experiences. And sometimes the marketing team tries to do that stuff without us. I know a lot of companies, the marketing team does the public facing website, but they do it without UX, and it ends up being Sometimes good and sometimes incredibly messy, badly done, bad UX, bad usability, or as I was talking to someone about yesterday, which we've both seen, the marketing team redoes different parts of the site in different years. So you have these 3 pages that look similar, and then these pages that look like each other but not like the other ones, and you get this hodgepodgey mess. So I think there's a lot of opportunities to partner with marketing and try to figure out how can you make them look good, because the more you make them look good and help them achieve their stuff in ethical, helpful ways, the more that they might go, oh, these UX people, I should really be coming to them more. And hey, maybe they need more budget for what they're doing, or maybe we need more people. Now, I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, but I'm saying it's an opportunity for a good relationship where it goes beyond sharing the insights and the research you each are doing. It's an opportunity for you to help a team look good, which is a team that the company mostly gets. You know, they don't always get UX, but they get marketing, they get conversion rates, they get the funnel, they care about this stuff, they're on fire about this stuff, and you can try to help them look good, and that also, if you can do it, helps show that value of UX without you having to show a PowerPoint about the value of UX. Nick.
I'd written this down before Aitan made her comment, but it's absolutely spot on. Most companies, you'd be surprised how little they know about the product itself, right? They might know about the market or have some idea about the segments or the buyers or the users or customers or whatever. But the actual product level knowledge, i.e.
That said, the
the
show's
value,
almost over.
okay. It just means the evaluative insight, right? Not the generative, right? Because generative is common to both market research and user research, but evaluative is unique to us, which gives us, like as Aitan is saying, that product level view of needs and pains and everything else, and that has to be useful to a marketing person.
Excellent, excellently said. Okay, the gong means the gong, by the way, happens automatically. I don't touch it. The gong says we are out of time. So let's talk about a few things that are coming up on the events calendar. You can find that over at dcx.to. We've got our mastermind support group call on Thursday. That's in our Discord. If you can make that, and if you're joining the group, please join. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go over to dcx.to and learn about our new support group. Friday, Larry and I are going to be on in Frank Spiller's UX Inner Circle community doing a live Q&A about Larry's disruptive research book. So you can catch that through Frank's community. Let's see. Saturday, I'm hoping to do a karaoke stream on my secret Twitch karaoke channel. That's optional for you to attend. Monday's webinar is going to be behavior triggers. Some of you have seen me do behavior triggers before, but I think they're worth talking about again. Can also help your marketing peeps. Tuesday will be, of course, this as usual, but I want to draw attention, chaotic neutral. I want to draw attention to, I just scheduled a webinar for Monday, July 22, 2024. I've been getting some questions, and I'm sure Nick is also, so he's going to appreciate this topic. Sorry the gong startles you. I have it low, but I can make it lower. I'm getting a lot of questions of, hey, I like Figma, but now I'm suspicious of Figma. I don't trust Figma. My company might not trust Figma. Can Axure do what Figma can do? And of course, the answer is yes, and a lot more. So what I'm going to be doing is a 2-hour webinar where I'm going to open up a blank Axure file, and we're going to talk about some of the things that Figma, that people most commonly do in Figma, from styles to components to click-through interactivity to auto layout. And I'm going to show you how you might accomplish these things in Axure, and also to show how low the learning curve can be. Yes, Axure does have some very advanced features that do have a higher learning curve. If any of you have seen my videos and you saw the Axure prototype I made that is an e-commerce page that calculates all of the taxes and shipping and does the real math every time you click on something. Okay, look, that was really complicated and that was high learning curve. But most of the stuff you're going to do to Axure is low medium learning curve, and I want people to stop being afraid of it. So tune tune in on July 22nd for that. Get your Figma and Axure questions ready. If you can't make it live, of course, it will go to the Patreon members, the paid Patreon members for 2 weeks, and then it'll be here on the CX-CC YouTube channel for everybody to enjoy. So that's what's coming up in the events calendar. Nick, anything you want to plug or talk about before we say goodbye?
Nah, Axure isn't difficult, even at medium fidelity. It only gets difficult when you get into raised events and the advanced stuff, which you don't need to do for 95% of all prototyping. As long as you dynamic panels, anybody can do. Variables and global variables, anybody can do, and the rest is just configuration and conditional logic, which is it has actually got better again. It went really bad for a while. The only problems Axure has are in the UX, but that's just the UI interaction design stuff, and then I'm being quite niggly because I've used it since forever.
Same here.
There's nothing about the interaction design style that would mean that a Figma user cannot use it. It's not like you've got to write JavaScript in there or anything else, right? It's just dragging stuff and then choosing the configuration of it, basically. It's all mental models. It's all concepts. That's all it is. And you're all bright people. You don't need to be especially bright. There's no barrier to this. You guys have learned much more complicated, difficult things than Axure. I actually pitched to Victor about 5 years ago when all this was kicking off and Figma was going down. I said to Victor, you in a face-to-face video call, you need to produce an Axure Lite that is got the sort of same UX as Figma. So that it only goes to that mid-level of fidelity and obscures all the other stuff that they don't need, and just retains the things we just talked about. And he just said, no way, I'm not watering down my product. And they lost. I can't say they've lost market share, but they haven't gained the market share that they should have done.
They didn't stay as relevant. They were definitely late to adopt some of the features that were getting popular in other tools. Like everyone ran to use Zeppelin. Who remembers Zeppelin now? Everybody ran to use Zeppelin, and Axure was really slow to do that type of stuff. But I had a nice chat with their support people the other day where I asked, like, please don't do the Adobe Figma thing that's happening with AI where you're going to be reading all of our files and killing our confidentiality agreements. And support wrote back and said, we have no plans to do any of that. We have way too many enterprise and corporate clients who rely on us not feeding stuff into AI or unknown databases. And so we have currently no plans to go there. And my thought was, thank you. I said, I need Axure to be the best Axure it can be and not some sort of copycat of these. And I think Axure has changed some of their interface to look a little more Figma-y in places. And Figma, I probably took a little bit from Axure. But I think that when people see me work with it on July 22nd or watch the video later, they're going to be like, oh, wait, this isn't so bad. This isn't so scary. I was kind of afraid of a big, everyone keeps saying Axure has a big learning curve. And I'm always like, only if you want to do really advanced things. And most of the prototypes you're going to build it's like sometimes people say to me, I want to learn advanced Axure. And I say, what's advanced Axure to you? And they go, dynamic panels. And I go, dynamic panels is lesson 5 in my beginner course. Yeah, so, Ana Lucia says Figma is broadly used and they still completely ignored their clients and their privacy. It's all a matter of values. Yeah, obviously, when you decide that your tool needs to, Figma wants to look at everybody's files, not because they want what's in your files, but because they want to try to teach the AI to be a designer, to replace us. And so once you've got that, then sure, it's not just that they want to see your files, they probably want to see how you use Figma and how you design. And Melanie says, even the conditional logic isn't that hard to learn. Yeah, it really depends on your background. I find people that are art school artists struggle a little bit more with Axure because they haven't had to think about things so granularly. But the people who aren't art school artists or have done some coding or more technical stuff or advanced maths, they tend to pick up Acture a little faster. So I've never had someone not be able to pick up Acture, and I'm one of their recommended trainers. So I've been training people on it for 10 years. But I've definitely had some people take a little bit more time to get into it. But yeah, but that being said, sorry to keep everybody late. Nick, any last words?
No, no, no. I could talk about this stuff all night. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Thank you. And you're here every second Tuesday of the month. So we will see you in August. And everybody have a super day and see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.